Hello, everyone. It's Kari with GrayTonic and Question the Drink. We are back, and today I am so excited to share with you one of my favorite clients ever that I had the opportunity to spend some time with. Please meet Frank Mumford. Hey, Frank, welcome.
Hi,
Welcome.
Kari.
Hey, how are you?
I'm
First of
great.
all, I want to introduce you, everyone. This is Frank. Frank is an amazing human being. He is so successful, very busy, and yet he found some time for me today and for you. And I asked him to come in and share his story because his story is not unique to how many people might be feeling the same way he once did, which is why I wanted to bring him in. He's very successful, owns a very successful business, and busy, has a lot going on in his life. And yet he had this one thing that was holding him back and keeping him from being the best that he could be. And here we are a year later. We haven't worked together in over a year. And he just shared with me recently some exciting news, how far he's come. And I'm going to let him share a few things. So, Frank, first of all, thank you for being with me today and sharing your story. I think this is so important for so many people that might be in that same boat. So, I would love for you to share with everybody where you were when you first contacted me. So, that was like, oh my gosh, about a year and a half ago at least. Can you recall back to those days, what it was
Yeah,
like for you?
yeah, absolutely. Kari, I think where I was, and it was actually a couple of years ago. I was in a position where I think a lot of people are, where they drink and they can't figure out what to do because it's holding them back. It's not just it's something that they've looked at, they've tried to do something about, and as soon as they tried to do something about, the alcohol or the drink would pull them right back in. I was not an alcoholic in my mind, but I was in a situation where there were a lot of things in my life that weren't working the way I wanted them to work. And the one key factor that I could put my finger on over and over again was alcohol. One of the things I looked at on a daily basis, I'd get up in the morning, I'd look in the mirror, I'd say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have a great day. But you know what? I don't feel like I should. I just don't feel as good as I should. And it was consistently because of, and we've talked about it, and there's no other way to look at it, but it's the beast, or it's the monkey on your back that you need to get rid of. So for me, I tried a number of different things. I actually went to AA, and when I went to AA, it was really an awakening on what alcohol can do to people. Because the people at AA, I mean, the one guy that was sitting next to me, Kari, was there because he was court ordered to be there, and he was, I mean, he was a mess. And I mean, I'm not saying I was not a mess myself, but I mean, he was a mess. Like, his life was totally a mess. The other guy on the other side, he was there mainly because he was trying to recover. He and his wife were both alcoholics. His wife had a liver problem. She was going to have a liver transplant, and when she went in to have the transplant, she couldn't stop drinking, and they wouldn't allow her the transplant because of alcohol in her life, and she ended up dying 6 months later. So I can tell you right now that I was at a point before I came to you that I didn't know where to go. And when I saw you online, and I saw the GrayTonic, and I saw your story, which was very consistent with mine, and I think consistent with a lot of people that I talk to, it just resonated so solidly that I called you, and you and I connected. And I can tell you, it's just been a lot of positive things happening. And I know it's not just because of me, it's not because of you, but I can tell you, one of the key factors in the things that are going on in my life now, and in the things I believe are going to go on in my life in the future, is not having alcohol as a part of my life.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You are a lot like a lot of other people, the gray area drinkers that are out there that aren't severely abusing alcohol. And, for those that know my story, I went to AA. I love AA. I think it's an amazing program. It has helped a million people plus, right? It's helped millions. Um, but it's not a good fit for everyone. It wasn't a great fit for me. I didn't need recovery. I needed discovery, and that's what you needed. And so it's nice to know that there are outlets out there like myself, and there's obviously other programs as well that are suited for someone like us that are more in that gray area, especially when we are high achievers and, we're not reliant to survive on alcohol on a day-to-day basis, but it certainly is playing an impact on our performance. And as a high achiever and a high performer as yourself, Frank, you don't have time, and you especially didn't a year and a half ago, to allow alcohol to influence your day to day. There was just no way, your schedule did not
Absolutely. I
allow
mean,
for it.
there was no way that I needed to influence my schedule, but it wasn't just influencing my schedule, it was impacting my life.
Yeah.
I had issues in my personal relationships. My wife was concerned about it. I was using it to self medicate,
Mhm.
really, for a lot of things that I needed to just face up to. And instead of doing it, it's a lot easier just to take a drink. And I'm not the only one that does that. I can guarantee you,
Mhm.
uh, depending on who listens to this, I bet you there, if they are listening to this, a large majority of the people that are in that particular area, the gray tonic or the gray area drinking, that know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They look at their life and they say, what would I be if I wasn't feeling the way I am right now? What would I be doing? How would I be thinking? What would I do with my life? And the key to it is, you told me too that alleviating alcohol and not having in your life, there are other residual positive effects that you didn't even tell me. I just got done a few weeks ago riding a bike ride across Iowa. I rode a bike, not a motorcycle, but an actual bike, 500 miles, 16,400 feet of climb, and it was across Iowa. And I was with five other people, all of them younger. One of them was half my age, and I was the only one that rode the whole distance. And
Yes.
I can 100%, and I'm saying 100% guarantee you that uh, if I'd have been drinking, because it's not really a race, it's more of a fun ride. But if
Yes.
alcohol was in it had been in my life, there would have never been that, and I would never have enjoyed it and
Yes.
had as much fun as I did. So the health benefits to eliminating alcohol, or the poison that is contained in alcohol, which you and I both know that there is, has so many more effects that you don't even talk about half the time. I mean, I'm sure you do time to time, but you don't really talk about it. But the main thing I see in a lot of the programs that you put on, Kari, you go in, and a lot of the people that are there, they're there just, they're like dipping their toe in. They're like trying
Yeah.
to get a feel for it. And I think the one thing that made the biggest difference in my life is when I connected to you with a one-on-one, I wasn't dipping my toe anymore. I jumped into the pool. So
Yes.
I did not, I said, okay, uh, I got to do something, and nothing I've done has worked. I've tried it on my own. I've tried to do what I could do and it was for a number of years. And it wasn't until we got together and I said, all right, this is it. You and I connected, and I made a full commitment that this was
Mhm.
not going to control my life, that
Yes.
we went in the direction, and I went, I mean, you basically took me kicking and screaming in the direction that I wanted to go in, but was unable to do on my own, and had nobody else, including AA. I mean, I was hoping that AA would be an answer for me, but it wasn't. It
Yeah.
wasn't. So
Well,
kudos to you. You
thank
say
you.
that you made it. You gave me a nice introduction, but my results of where I am right now are consistent with my commitment, and also consistent with you and the programs that you've put together, and the leadership that you've given to those individuals that are like me, which there are lots of people out there
There are. There are.
like
Thank you
us,
so much for
like
your
us.
kind words. Yes, like us, there are tons, there's millions out there, and my hope is that this video will reach those that need to hear it and will say, "Okay, it's time for me to dig in." But you said something so important that I want to make sure that I reiterate and say again, which is You made a full commitment. You were ready to go all in. It wasn't that you were dipping your toe anymore. If someone wants to dip their toe, that's the best place to be is Question the Drink Facebook group, because they can do that. They can dip their toe in and say, what's this like? They can go through Think Through the Drink, which is a free mini course that I offer, very light, gives you enough information where you can ask those questions. But for those that want to go all in, that want to make those changes in their life, they need to have that commitment and commitment to self. They have to have the desire to want to make the change, and they have to be willing to
Yeah.
commit. And that
And
means
it's
going all in.
and they have to understand it's not easy. Okay. So I'll be very transparent. Since in the last 2 years, if I told you I haven't drank at all, I'd be lying,
Mhm.
because that alcohol is always right around the corner. It's always there. And when we started to begin with, you and I talked about this. I would drive by a grocery store every day on my way home, and it was a store I used to stop and get stuff, and it took me
Mhm.
probably a year not to think about stopping in.
Yeah.
Okay. um, Probably about 8 months, 7 months ago, I sat and I was with a friend, and everybody was having some beers. I had a few beers, and and this was a while ago, but you know what, I got up the next day, and I 2 beers, and I could feel that I had been drinking. And
Oh.
so what happens is, the more you put yourself on the other side of alcohol, the more you realize the effect that
Mm.
alcohol has on you and the hold
Mhm.
it has on you. And the more you understand why you need to continue to distance yourself from it, because the more you're away from it, the stronger the effects are when you do go back and you touch it, and it
That's
burns you,
so
and it
true.
actually burns you. And
Yeah.
you go back in and you go, oh my gosh, and then the memories come back about the way life was. And
Yes.
that is
That.
that's really what holds you together, is because
Mhm.
what you do is you go in, and then all of a sudden, if you do touch, and I refer to it as the beast, because
Mhm.
that's a lot of if you listen to a lot of rhetoric, that's what they call it. It really
Yes.
is. Uh, you realize the hold it had on you,
Mhm.
and how you used it, and actually what it did to your life, and how much better you are without it. So it's just like,
Yeah.
it's a journey, right?
Yes.
It's a journey, and it's a lifelong journey, as you know. And anybody that's been on one side or the other understands. But those people that haven't taken that step, or haven't jumped in,
Mhm.
those are the people that I think you're talking and reaching out to, because they can function the rest of their life the way they are.
Well, the thing
But
of it is, like you said, they're living their life, and nothing's too terrible, right? It's not too terrible. They're in this gray area, whether they're in a gray area with their marriage, or their
right,
career, or their relationships. Nothing's making the tipping point. It's sort of like they're doing this balancing act of, I know I'm drinking too much, but it's really not that bad. But I
yeah,
feel like crap,
I'm
but I really
functioning. I
want
feel
it.
like crap, but
Mhm.
I can handle this, right?
Yes.
So, but what you do is you gotta get up at one point, Carrie. And I did this a number of times. I would honestly say that probably for at least 5 years before you and I connected, I many times would get up and say, you know what, is this the rest of my life? And is
Mhm.
is this going to be the best of my life?
Yeah.
And I would have to say no. And I I mean, since we've been together, and since I've made this commitment, and as I said, it's been a rough journey, but I can actually say that I see the rest of my life as being the best of my life. And
Yeah.
I could not have said that uh, before we connected.
Well, I want to say this too, because while everyone's experience is different, it doesn't have to be so hard. If someone commits and they can start to see the benefits of having alcohol not a part of their life, and they make that commitment and the decision, then it becomes a way of life. When someone takes on a new identity of, like, I'm a non-drinker, it's who I am. Like, I used to smoke for years, right? It's not hard for me not to want to smoke, right? Even though I smoked for decades, it's not hard for me to say, or even think about smoking anymore. It's just non-existent. Just like alcohol becomes non-existent. It's inert. It has nothing to do with my life anymore. So it can be easy. It can be more simpler than what we originally think it is. If we have the mindset of it is a substance, you are more powerful than that, right? While it has a hold on us in the beginning, if we go into it making that powerful decision that this is something I'm willing to do, I'm going to overcome it. It's not about willpower, it's not white knuckling, it's saying, okay, I'm a smart human being here. I understand that this is something that has become an addictive habit. It is a self-sabotaging addictive habit that is limiting me. And you have that powerful decision to make the difference, which is what you did. And you're right. It took you a little bit of time. Everybody's journey is going to look different. Some it's really quick. Matter of fact, I just had a recent client in my group program who was severely abusing alcohol. Matter of fact, she was a little bit past where I would say is a gray area drinker. And she was able to successfully complete the program and had no issues. So for her, it became much easier than what she thought it was going to be after years of attempting. So for some people, it can be easier. Some people will be harder, and it just depends on the
Well, you
journey.
know what? I applaud every one of those people that have done this
Yes,
and moved in that direction. And I'm sure
me
it
too.
is different for everybody. But, the interesting thing about this, and you talk about it in your groups, is that uh, alleviating or eliminating alcohol from your life has got a stigma connected to it. And the stigma, it not only is connected to you, but it's connected to people that look at you too. I mean, I don't know how many times people, well, you don't have a problem. I don't
Yeah.
know how many, when I said, well, I'm just not, I've decided I'm not going to drink anymore. And they're like, why? What's wrong with you? But these are the people that have been my friends for years. And, we've drank together. We've done a lot of things together. One of my best friends that I grew up with, so there is, I get it that maybe for some
Mhm.
people it's easier for others.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me, and it's. I think anybody that's really embedded in that, the issue is, Carrie, that a lot of times the people you surround yourself and the people that you're with and have been with for a long time
Mhm.
uh, look at you, and then all of a sudden you're saying that you're going to change, and they're like, "Well, why?" Because
Yeah.
they're still doing it, and they still may have issues like that, Carrie. I'm going to give you an example, and this is something that I wouldn't even mention, but I've got a friend of mine, and he's not a really good friend, but he's somebody that I know that, uh, and you never know how alcohol is going to affect you, right? But he is probably a grayer drinker or a little worse. All of a sudden, now he's got a liver issue, and
Mm.
I mean, it's not good, and alcohol is a part of that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other health issues that
Oh my
we
gosh.
don't discuss and you
Yeah.
don't go into when you're talking to people about alcohol. But if you research it, and I know you have, and
Mhm.
anybody does, they realize that alcohol is number one, it is poison, right? It is
It's a
not
toxin.
something that
Absolutely.
is toxic. And there's nobody
Yeah.
that said, there's nobody that can, the only people that say it's not, and I hate to say this, is when the wine industry goes on, they say,
That's
well,
right.
alcohol is good for you. But you know what? Now they're coming back. And the truth is that they're saying the, the, the tannins in the thing in the
It's the
wine is good for you,
resveratrol.
but not
Yeah.
the alcohol. So
You know what? They recently had they had a story on
yeah,
the Today Show, and I had a rant on it because I was so upset about it. But the World Health Organization actually has an article. Thank you, World Health Organization has a study out there that says there is no amount of alcohol that is considered healthy. It will never be considered healthy. They don't go hand in hand. While some people, will still enjoy and want to have alcohol, great. I'm not on a crusade against
no,
alcohol. I'm on a crusade for people to question the drink. I want them to question the relationship that they have with alcohol. And if it starts to become a problem in their life, you need to pay attention because if you think it's a problem, right?
yeah, no, you're 100% correct. And you know what? You don't have to tell them if you can come out and what you did and what happened with me was consistent with I'm sure a lot of the other people that if they're watching this or the other people that are connected to your podcast or the groups or everything you go to, they have questioned this before they saw you. You
Oh,
just
that's
connect the
right.
dots.
That's right.
All right, you're connecting the dots.
Mhm.
It's not like they woke up 2 days ago and they said they just had a drink that day and said, "Oh, I need to quit drinking because I had too much to drink last night." It's been going on over and over again. But the
Mhm.
problem is that they've looked and they don't know what to do about it. And if you
Yeah.
don't know what to do about it, you know what you do? You try to minimize it and you try to make it fit into your life
You shove it
somehow,
under the
Carrie.
rug. Yep. Maybe
And
it'll go away.
because you don't have a way out,
That's
right?
right.
I think that what your programs and what you do is you show people a path to
Mhm.
where they want to be, but they don't know how to get there. So
That's
you're giving them some a path in the journey that they know they need to go down, but they just don't know how to get there.
yeah.
There's no signage, there's no nothing, and I think that's what you did. Well, I know that's what you did for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And there's so many people, like you said, that are out there that are questioning, and they have that internal, inner voice that's already saying something to them like, oh my gosh, I think I am drinking too much. And oh, I shouldn't have had so much last night to drink. And all the questions that they have that come up for them. And it's my plea is for them to listen to that little voice. And if all I'm doing right now is planted a seed for someone, great. Because guess what? That's what somebody did for me. It took a couple years to cultivate before I
Yeah,
made significant changes.
yeah.
But nevertheless, I planted the seed, and here we are, for me 7 years later, for you, oh my gosh, it's been a year,
About
right?
a
It's
couple
been a year.
years. No,
Yeah, a
I
year
think a
and a half.
year and a half.
Yeah.
And in that time frame, Carrie, just to give you an idea, I have and you probably already know this, but I've got a business I've had for 40 years. I've got a consultant. I've set it up. I've actually put 8 of my managers. I'm setting up a staff or a board this fall that will hopefully run and take over the business, and then I will move into a different venue. I have been elected the as a board member of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I'm working with right now. I'm working. I've only been connected to the national program for probably about 2 months, and they've already got me on 4 boards. I'm working on fundraising
Woohoo.
consultants. I'm working with the CEO. I've got plans to work with numerous organizations to hopefully help to end the stigma surrounding mental illness and bring mental health as more of a viable option to
Mm,
so many people that
so
need
good.
the help through the
Yeah.
National Alliance on Mental Illness,
Yes.
NAMI. So
Yes.
good things in the future. I hopefully in the future you may see me on the Super Bowl because that's one of the areas that I'm looking at
Yes.
connecting to the NBA,
I would love it.
college football, so many things that, and and all this stuff. I'm telling you what, I've thought about this stuff for a while, but now I'm not just thinking about it, Carrie. I'm doing it.
Yes, and that's the thing, and you know what, we talked about this when we were working together,
Yep.
all these big plans that you
Yep.
had, and, trying to figure out how to get yourself less involved at work, and you've made all that happen, and like you said, you very successful business owner,
So
multi-million
alleviating,
dollar
yeah, and
business.
alleviating alcohol
Yes.
just doesn't make you feel better. It also gives you the confidence to do things that you didn't probably have the confidence to do in the past. And I think you
Yes,
know
that's
that
true.
firsthand because what it does is once you overcome that issue, you overcome a big part of what's in your life that's holding you back to
That's right.
maybe understand and have the confidence to move forward in other areas. And
Yes.
I really think that alleviating alcohol in my life is opening up a lot of doors for me that I'm excited. And in the past, it hasn't been that I haven't looked at the doors, but I didn't
Mhm.
have the confidence to walk through them, and now I do.
You know what the biggest difference I see in you, Frank? Because honestly, this is the first time we've seen each other in quite some time,
Yeah.
probably a year that we've actually seen each other on camera. And I will say, I have not seen you this calm and assured. And
Mhm.
that confidence is just, I mean, absolutely coming through on camera, and the way that your voice is, and all the things that you've accomplished this past year, including your physical journeys that you've had with, all the physical, your 500-mile bike and your
Yeah.
hikes and all these things that you're
Yeah.
doing. There's no way you could have been doing that a year and a half, 2 years ago, not to the level you're at now. So
And
I'm
when we
so
started,
proud of
one of the
you.
things you asked me about that you asked me was what did you want to accomplish? And
Mm.
I think the thing I said, Carrie, and I don't know if you remember this, I said, I want the rest of my life to be the best of my life. And I said that earlier. And I think at this point,
Yes.
that's what eliminating alcohol is doing for me. It's
Yes.
making that wish or that dream turn into a reality.
It's given the space. You have opened up space for that to happen. You and your wife are now much more connected, and your
Mhm.
family, and you're more present, and all those
Absolutely.
things that we want. And there's more internal joy, and
Yep.
you're able to do more, which is exactly what you're saying. Now you can really live your best life now. It's never too late. Never too late. You're still accomplishing things that you wanted to
Yeah.
accomplish.
No, it's never too late. I mean, age is a number, and
That's right.
it's what we do. What we do internally is gonna come out one way or the other, and it's gonna come out in our mental health. It's gonna come out in our physical health.
Yes.
So all I can say is anybody that is listening or watching to this, if they've got an issue and they've got a problem, and they're questioning that issue or that problem connected to alcohol, they need to do something about it. They need to take the plunge. They need to take the next step, or else it'll always be there, and it's always going to be something that's going to be holding them back that they're going to have to overcome. And
Mm,
I don't know how you overcome that, Carrie. You couldn't, and
yeah.
I couldn't. Right? We had to get rid of it. So
Yep. Yes. Alcohol has
we're
a way
not
of
going to live with it.
just
When I say
that's
overcome, I mean you got to get rid. You got to get rid of
yeah.
it.
We have to say goodbye to the
Amen.
friend that we thought was our friend, right? There's other ways that we can do life. And
Yeah.
I know for me, my life is so much richer. I know yours is too. And this is why I continue to do the work that I do. It's not work to me. This is such a joy. It's my gift. It's
Yeah.
what I believe what God has called me to do in my life. And here we are. And I'm just so grateful that you wanted to come on and share your story and let others know what it's been like for you, because the more that we share these stories, the more hope and inspiration we can give to those that need it, that are still in that gray area, that are unsure. They're on that fence. They're kind of teetering back and forth, and they just need to know that it's okay to take
Amen.
the plunge, right? Yeah. So thank you for coming on, and for just parting words. Is there one thing that you want to share that we haven't covered that might be of inspiration to someone that might be listening?
Uh, I think the key thing would be if you're going in and you're watching this, especially if you're watching this long,
If
that
you're still with
that
us.
my recommendation would be take the next step, do something about it. I mean, you're worth so much, each and every one of us. Life is like a vapor, right? I mean, it goes by so quickly that
Yeah.
don't let alcohol drag you back and take away the life you could have and the life you could be leading. Do something about it. Get connected with the programs that you've got. I don't care what it is that you do, but do something.
Do something.
Don't
That's right.
just expect to continue on with your relationship with alcohol and
That's
have life be different, because
yes.
we all know what that is.
Yes. Because
Definition
once
of
the alcohol
insanity.
is removed, which is, really, let's be honest, it's about this much. Once we get rid of that, whew, we
Yeah.
got all this to explore. I'll never forget that when someone said to me, Carrie, what you think you're giving up is like this much. I get it. But what you don't see yet, girl, is what you're gaining, which is all of this. And I
Yeah.
remember going, huh? And now I totally get it. It's almost
Well,
like the veil's been
yeah,
lifted
you
and
said
here
the
we
same.
go.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
kind of said the same thing to me, but you don't
Yes.
understand it, and you've got to take the journey and see it for yourself. You
That's
can
right.
tell people, but they're not going to understand it until they go there.
Yes. Yes. Frank, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're
Yeah,
helping so
well,
many people by us coming on and wanting to share again to your story, and I just cannot thank you enough. And
yeah.
thanks for watching,
Thank.
guys. I hope this was a blessing to you. I hope you found this to be helpful in your own journey. If I can be of assistance of you, please contact me. You can go to graytonic.com. You can schedule a private call with me, and I'll see if I'm the best fit for you and vice versa. And if I'm not, I will direct you to somebody who I believe that might be. Okay. So take care. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time.